Hello, hello, everybody. Here we are, CU222. I hope we were just chatting before, that everybody had a wonderful summer break. Without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Monsieur Chef Gregoire, Chef Greg over there.
Hello, everybody. I see some names I recognize.
So get ready, because you guys are with Chef Greg and I for the next 12 weeks. Yep, 12 weeks. We are going to take you on a journey, okay? We're going to start to look at what's more than meets the eye. It's not farm to table in the sense of what we might think, right? Break down all assumptions, all rules, because there is a lot that has to work together in order to get food from the land to your restaurant to the customer on a plate. It takes a lot. Does anybody know anything about the agricultural business? Or does anybody think that it might have a huge impact on the restaurant industry? Who thinks that agricultural industry has a huge impact on the restaurant industry? Anybody?
It helps set prices.
Help set prices. It can determine prices, but prices, right? Like, we are going to see what prices can do from one side of the coin to the other. Okay. Class, we are at a time where there are two sides of the industry that are vastly different. Mass production, huge agricultural farms supplying large quantities of the nation and other countries as well, compared to small independent farms that might be supplying some local restaurants, the local farmers markets, a few grocery stores that are selling locally, right? So we're talking about very small scale to very large scale. Distribution chains, okay? Depending upon where you work, what type of establishment you work in out in the industry, you're going to be working with a varied number of purveyors. Okay? So there's some real powerhouses. Who's ever seen trucks driving across the nation? Gordon Food Service, what other food service companies? Compass, right? What else? Sodexo, Aramark, what else?
Barton.
Pardon me?
Barton.
Barton, okay, I'm not familiar with that one, but there are, so what we're going to talk about is there are suppliers on a huge grand scale, and then as it gets smaller and smaller, you have more companies, right? Because you've got the big main distributor, which breaks down to smaller ones. I'm going to pull up a little graph right here so we can start to understand what this concept of a food distribution, okay, looks like. There we go. All right. So you've got food production, right? That goes to a distributor. That could then go into processing or not, right? Producer. Then you've got marketing, which is labels that are getting there. Markets and purchase, where are you buying these supplies from? Preparation and consumption. And resource and waste recovery, okay? That's how the cycle goes back, right? You're going to see a ton of variations of this. How it can potentially work. Where does it go? Right there, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 step process, right? So, what do we think is valuable when it comes to sourcing? Say you are running a restaurant, okay? You are purchasing inventory, okay? Maybe you're the sous chef. You're doing inventory every week, okay? Maybe you're the chef. You're working with a tight budget. Food cost, right? You guys remember about food costs? So, what do we think the cost is from a huge supplier compared to a smaller supplier?
Well, your cost to buy is going to be a little cheaper.
Your cost what?
Then from a smaller supplier, you're probably going to spend a little more at a smaller supply house.
Most likely, yeah. Exactly. So, when we start thinking about how is food actually grown, distributed, where does it stay? Where's the warehouse? What's the storage capabilities? How are we getting our shipments in from China? Lemons, tomatoes, garlic. Didn't think those would be coming out of China, did you? Some of the largest exporters of those. So we're going there. Is that going on barge? It's getting put into a container, put on a barge. Then it arrives at the port, right? And from the port, it might get put on to either a train or a truck. Or it's going to go then directly to the warehouse, and then from the warehouse, trucks, and then it, boom, spreads out, okay? That is how food gets from way overseas. So first of all, how many hands did that just pass through? The farmer to who knows how many sellers and buyers on that one side to get it to the container, to get it onto the boat, to get it into the next port, flying, right? There's a lot of time involved. There's a lot of money. And what else does it take to get products from there all the way over here? What does it use? Does anybody know?
Fuel.
Fuel, yes. Energy. Exactly, Blake. Thank you. Awesome. So it takes a lot of energy and fuel and resources, right? To get from point A to point B. Okay? So now let's just take a step back. We're talking about that farm to table. So talking about resources, what's something that's really important that's pretty much over the news all the time about resources and sustainability? What do we hear about?
The impact on the earth.
Yes, awesome. The impact on the earth. You're exactly correct, Michelle, right? So we have a lot of waste. Do you guys know what the food waste looks like in America and the world, but America specifically? How much?
I know we're one of the worst ones for food waste.
You're darn right. You're darn right. Okay. So I'm just taking that little step back. Okay. So we're looking at food waste. What about plastic usage? What about water? Energy? All of these combine to sustainability, right? What does sustainable mean? Does anybody have an idea? What does sustainable mean to you?
Well, like a sustainable farm would be able to produce crops over and over.
Okay, yeah. So over and over. So a consistent source. I saw Benjamin saying something in the chat about flow, right? So to be sustainable means that it would be able to regenerate. We wouldn't end, right? Sustainable also means support. Okay? Because sustainability is also about your community. It's not an individual, right? It's a community. It's where your business is. It's the growth of your community. Sustainable, right? Because if we leave our community and we only source outward, are we sustainable for our community in that sense? Not really. But doesn't mean everywhere is going to be sustainable. Some you can't afford to be sustainable, which sounds crazy. But in most places you can. When we look at sustainability in the sense of what I can put out as a menu item, right? Are you gonna think about the season? Or are you gonna think about the cost? You're gonna try and think about both?
Oh.
There are a lot of factors that we're gonna have to talk about and cover, right? We've got 12 weeks, so that's the good thing, all right? It runs deep. There are a lot of levels to distribution, to sourcing, to finding purveyors and vendors or farmers, finding ways that you as an establishment that you potentially might manage or run can help influence your local area. It doesn't even mean just buying locally. Maybe it means taking that food waste that we have a ton of, right? And composting it. Maybe it means buying some type of eco-friendly products that you're using, whether it's straws or to-go containers. A lot of factors come into your business. And one important thing to look at, trends are happening, okay? It is really important to look at the restaurant industry and see what trends, what companies are doing. Successful long-term companies, what are they doing? How are they cutting back on natural resources? Are they implementing different environmentally friendly appliances? What does it take? Is your refrigerator really old and it takes a lot of energy and it doesn't have the Energy Star? Well, guess what? If it takes a lot of energy, that's contributing to your overall cost, your operations. Add that line in. Inefficient old equipment takes a lot more energy to utilize. Can you be more efficient? Where does that price, you've got to do a lot of balancing. Wouldn't you say, Chef Greg, where you're analyzing pro versus con? Can I make the investment now? Will the payoff be better in the long run? Right, Chef?
Yeah, absolutely. It's everything. It'll be your food, it'll be your labor, the electricity, the water. Everything will be based on a balance of what can you do or what would you like to do, and then what can you do from a business standpoint. You may want everything to be one way, but from a business standpoint, you may not have the clientele. It may just not work. So everything is absolutely a balance.
100%. It might not work. You could try and source all locally, but if you don't have the clientele and you're not in the right location, your restaurant will tank. Right? It will. Because guess what? Locally grown, super high quality produce is extremely expensive still. Now, is it beneficial to the local infrastructure and are there changes happening? Yes, hands down. Growth in farmers market have skyrocketed in the past few years, okay? Not just in rural areas, but urban areas. There's a demand for locally grown produce. It is a trend that is not stopping. Why? Because one, it supports the local community. It keeps food money in this community, which helps grow the economy. It supports local farmers. It reduces your carbon footprint, your energy usage, right? Because now your food isn't going from so far to so far. Big hot topic areas, guys, are environment, sustainability, how we're surviving, how we're gonna make things work on this earth, right? It's recycle this or don't use this or don't use that. Changes are happening in the industry. that you're going to see really come to show in the next 10, 15 years, 5 years. There are states that have outlawed styrofoam containers. Did you know that? Styrofoam's out. I think even Dunkin' Donuts is removing the foam. They pledged within a year, I think they're going to be out of those foam cups. Guess why? They don't break down in the environment. We're actually like running out of space. Landfills, usage. We talk about this food waste. Little teeny bits we got to do everywhere, right? And the best part of it is it's going to become more cost effective and better in the long term for everything involved. Sustainability is trending. That's all there is to it, right? There's no doubt, there's no question in the mind. You will see it across governments, regulations, and these affect your business. So, how can you possibly cut down on costs in an establishment with this local or sustainable or whatever movement, sustainable movement?
Well, what's that restaurant chef in New York that does grows the vegetable, has that aqua on top of their roof of their building? They grow their own vegetables to use.
I don't know if you're talking, which one you're talking about, but there's Blue Hill Farm. There are a ton of restaurants that are growing. One of the most things, right? They might have their farm. They might have hydroponics, aquaponics. You're totally right, Blake. They might be sourcing from a greenhouse when they can't get the products out of the season. There are a lot of trends, a lot of ways, and a new access to get fresh product. And the prices are dropping.
I worked at a place where they went to a farmer and that raised corn, or he grew corn, and they would buy the corn straight from the farmer. You know, just when they went out to do the fields, he'd go buy corn straight from them.
There you go. Guess what? Oftentimes, now think about that. You could really cut down on your costs. If you're going straight to the farmer, you're making a deal with that farmer, you can work out a better deal than if it goes to the farmer, to then a distributor, and then to you. Why not cut that other person out? Reduce your costs, right? So again, this class is going to be a bunch of contradictions, guys. There are two sides to every story. You must do your research. You must understand what your end goals are, what your demands and needs are in the restaurant industry when you become in a managerial position and you're faced with these questions and meeting a food cost, matching a food budget, looking at what your customers are demanding. Customers are demanding locally grown produce. So you start to buy it, and that in turn cuts down prices. It's all a big game of money, right? But that's what we're not just in the industry to cook because we love it. We also want to have a successful business, right? Which means meeting those demands of the customers and the changing trends. Does anybody have any questions? I know we're covering a lot of stuff right now, but just.
Amber has a hand up, Chef, and Jonathan.
Yeah, Amber.
I actually have a weird question. I can't remember how long ago, but in 10th grade, when I was in 10th grade, we made a compost thing, like for compost.
Yeah.
But we used styrofoam in it, which I'm like, wait, isn't it not decomposed? Compostable, I think I'm looking for it. Compostable? I can't remember the name of it. But we used styrofoam in it. But it's weird. So, yeah.
Okay. I'm not fully getting I'm not fully getting what you're asking about. You started a compost and something was not there, or
it was there, like styrofoam. We used styrofoam in it, but isn't it like not decomposable? Combustible. That's what I'm looking for. Combustible. Okay. The one we use it.
You're talking about weird components of compost. Yeah, I mean, I don't have the answer for what you were using in your compost solution, but It might have looked like styrofoam, but not actually be styrofoam, and that's just
Yeah, it could have been it.
Yeah.
But like, I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, no, definitely. I don't think so. That would be interesting. But yeah. So, does anybody have any questions else regarding like what we've been talking about right now, Jonathan?
Yes, ma'am. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm growing my own vegetables and everything. I have a green thumb, so I just looked at that cost efficiency to be real productive for me on that side, to where I don't have to worry about vendors with my produce.
Yeah, depending upon how much you
So
grow,
would that be
and supply.
well, I have 25 acres.
Wow, not
So
bad.
I'm putting all my vegetables that I need, you know, the lettuce, the onions, the corn, the tomatoes, things of that nature that I don't have to use a vendor for.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can have so I love that you're actually doing this. There are a lot of factors that come into this. If you have the manpower, right, woman power, the labor to work those 25 acres, in addition to running a restaurant, right? So think about growth, capacity, what you can do. What I will say, one of the best things, I think about foods that are perishable, right? Think about costs of herbs right? Herbs and lettuce are one of the biggest trends that restaurants are doing for sustainability methods. Why? Because they're highly perishable. You can harvest them extremely quickly, rapidly, minimal processing, right? And your costs for herbs generally are a lot higher. Lettuce, herbs, fragile vegetables like that break down quickly.
Right.
So that's like one of your a great thing. I would highly suggest getting some herbs in there if you don't. And they also grow really easily.
Sure.
So,
yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Will you take some photos and share those with the class? I think it would be wonderful for everybody to see that. That's fantastic.
Okay, my first crop should be in September, October.
Okay. Did you just start with these acreage?
Yeah, my dad just got through tilling it.
You're breaking up a little bit, probably because you live where there's farms.
I'm driving, so I'm on the phone.
Okay. Well, please share some photos. I would love to see that. I think everybody else would love to see that as well. It is
sure, no problem.
Fortunate to have that accessibility to be able to grow.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, totally. I would say start to think about, now you have a classmate here who's saying sees the worth and in growing vegetables that could supply his restaurant.
Right.
Right? How much when you all go out to eat, are you more inclined to purchase? Jonathan, I got to mute you because you've got to. Okay, cool. Thanks. Thanks, chef, or whoever did that. Magic fingers. Sorry, got shaken. Supplying, right? These vegetables, right? There's a need for that. There can be, and you think about what it affects. Distribution, costs. Is it viable? When you go to a restaurant and you think about, you see something on the menu, right? And it mentions that it's like locally from that farm up the road that you drove past to get there. Aren't you kind of excited to eat that when you go to an area, you know it's from a specific area? More inclined to eat. If you're down in Georgia, everybody knows about the Georgia peach, right? If I was cruising around on a road trip and I saw Georgia peach, I'd be like, I need to get some of those. I also need to get some boiled peanuts, right? Because that's fresh and it's growing. If I'm up in Michigan, I'm trying to get cherries during the harvest time, okay? So, guys, once you all start looking at a broader picture, which is seasonality, okay? Seasonality is very different now because of technology. So this wide distribution scale that we're talking about, that we can be sourcing from halfway around the world, is because of advancements in technology, that we're able to get fresh produce from point A to point B without it going rancid or spoiling, and without using traditional preservation methods. Okay? We're shipping tomatoes from so far away and getting them, and they're still edible. They haven't decomposed and rotted, when normally they would. Does anybody know how that happens? How can we ship a tomato from China and it can get in the stores in the US and it's not spoiled and rotten? Because we know that tomatoes break down, right? Quickly. How can it travel that far? Gas. Yeah. Controlled atmosphere warehouses. Gas, right? Suppress the gases that are required, right? Also, harvesting them really early. You harvest tomatoes green when you need to transport them that far. What do we think about the taste and flavor profile of a tomato that's harvested green compared to a tomato that's harvested red? Thoughts? I mean, other than a darn fine fried green tomato sandwich, okay? Talk about outside of that. We're talking about harvest and your desires to get to red, right? Sure. What are the differences? What do we think?
Bitterness.
Bitterness, great, yeah.
Texture would be harder.
Texture could be harder or mealier. Yep, definitely. What else? Anybody? What else do we think changes? The ripe ones have more flavor. Yeah.
Aroma.
Aroma. Yep. What else?
You have taste.
Taste. Yeah. Color. All of these, okay, lend to the end product, okay? Now, without these advancements in technology, would we necessarily be able to have an endless supply of tomatoes in the dead of winter? What do you guys think? No, no way. Right, so is technology good? Yeah. Does it change the way we get food and the end flavor profile of food? Certainly. What about, we start to think about animals. Growing animals, the harvesting, the taking the animal to slaughter, butchering, packaging, sending. How long ago do we think most of our animal products were slaughtered and packaged and brought to market? It takes a while. What about if you're getting that beef from again, halfway around the world? What does that take?
Time.
It's what? Sorry?
Time.
Time. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, distribution change, guys. Local supplies, nationwide, you've got regional. Basically, you're looking like this, right? You've got citywide distributors. You have then state, regional, then, break it down to like Midwest. Then you have national. You have international importing and exporting. All of these things to get products here. Who knows what balsamic vinegar is? Right? We learned about that in Italy and Cuisines of the World. So if we want really good balsamic vinegar, aren't we getting that shipped over from Italy to us? Yeah. Maybe great olive oil. Or can we source olive oil that's closer to us? Who lives in California? Anybody living in California? Maybe somebody out there? Well, guess what? There are olive growers out in California. You can get olive oil that's grown closer than half, over in Europe. Huh. What's the price difference going to be? What's the quality difference? All of these things start to change the way you look at your menu, where you're sourcing from, and most importantly, you want to take quality and quantity, right? And evaluate those. What's the price difference? Is Is it noticeably different and important and your customers want it? It's a lot of budgeting. It's a lot of looking at numbers, a lot of figuring out what you need to sell to meet your food budget, your food cost, what type of food you want to serve. No right or wrong answer. There's a wide array of establishments pulling from multiple different sources, whether that's huge delivery or small or somewhere in between. All right, so when we were talking about herbs just now, that is going to be part of your week 1 assignment. You are going to go to the store when you're going to pick up your ingredients for this week. You're going to get a seed packet, all right? And it should be of an herb, parsley, dill, basil, something that might grow in your area, right? Those are pretty easy, cilantro. And you're going to plant a seed, all right? Because we've got 3 weeks, and we're going to try and germinate, right? You're going to have to do a little research, figure out how do you germinate a seed, right? What do? Do you just water it, stick it in? Yep, that works, right? You can do this very affordably in an egg carton, like a cardboard egg carton is a great way to start your seeds. You can really plant it in anything. Any old little pot will do once you get it to the next stage, once it's germinated, okay, popped up. And you're going to watch it. And you're going to see if anything comes to go, right? And you're going to see what it takes to get a plant, a seed, to go from seed to even one thing, right? One sprout. And you might see it develop, okay? And then you're going to taste what a torn off parsley leaf takes directly from a little plant, right? Maybe some of you are more familiar with this and live on farms or grew up with eating fresh stuff right off the farm, ripping it off the vine. Awesome. A lot of us didn't, okay? And a lot of us don't. So we need to understand what it takes to go from seed to produce. Then start thinking about on what level production is required. Think about how many restaurants there are in the world. It is massive. Agricultural business is absolutely massive. Okay? So you're going to plant a seed. And you're also going to pick one of those herbs, and you're going to buy that at the store, a bunch of it, all right? And you're going to make a sauce utilizing one of these herbs. Let me just pull it up really quickly. We can take a look at this. There we go. There you go. It's another link I got to share with you guys. So here's the assignment right there. Boom, seed packet, container seed in which planted with the date, right? Get it going. Just let us know that process has started. In coming full circle, you're going to use that plant. So say you want to do parsley or basil, as we mentioned. Here are 4 different recipes for herb-based condiments. Gremolata, which highlights parsley. Got pesto, utilizing basil. Zug, which hails out of North Africa, Middle Eastern cuisine, right? We've got cilantro coming out there, all right? And then chimichurri, having some issues loading. I don't know. There we go. Also utilizing parsley, okay? So you're going to make one of these sauces, all right? And you're going to serve that with your choice of protein, cooked and prepared in your preferred method, right? Whether that's grill, bake, broiled, based, whatever, okay? Show us your skills, okay? Make sure that you are doing your self-ID, doing your Sandy bucket. You guys have been down this road too many times to not be doing that every week, right? Super easy points to get, and don't do repeats, because guess what? You don't get points that way. You got to be sanitary and professional still, all right? Coming to the end of the program, your mise en place should be on point, all right? At this point, we don't want to see some sloppy stuff, guys. Time to step it up. Be orderly. Have your stuff measured out. We don't want to see containers of ingredients. Don't plop down the bottle of olive oil, right? Measure it out. That's proper mise en place. Are you ready to roll or are you not? Because guess what, guys? Externship's going to be here before you know it. You got to have your game on, game tight. So Chef Greg and I are here to basically whoop it up, all right? We want to see high performance. You've been in this program for a long time now. Let's see what you got. Bring the skills, right? I know a lot of you are already scheming and planning. Yeah, I see you. I see you guys. And we're excited to see your work because it's going to be great. All right. Now, the other thing, you're going to have your choice of either a vegetable or a starch as a side dish. Okay? So, quite simple. You need a protein, you need a veg or starch side dish, and you need this highlight of the condiment, right? Work on your plating skills. 2 identical plates showing your final protein side dish and herb condiment. Remember, if you're tight on a budget, guess what? You can take chicken breast and slice that, okay? And make a smaller component, right? You can make smaller scale things if need be, okay? You don't need to cook a huge roast chicken and plop down half a roast chicken on each table, right? You can do 2 legs, okay? Legs are fairly inexpensive. There are ways to make this as affordable and accessible for you as it can be, as well as your veg or starches. Make something, first challenge yourself to make something that maybe you have not made. Maybe it's a vegetable you haven't seen, okay? Try and make that. And then if you're having any issues sorting, some of these ingredients, for example, the Zoog, I know, has a lot of spices and herbs. If you didn't by chance get those, the cardamom and black pepper and cumin from Cuisines of the World, then don't use this recipe. Use something that's more in your price range, right? Okay, what can I use? What's the most affordable? Probably this bad boy, your gremolata. Lemon, parsley, garlic, anchovy fillets. Boom, easy. It's gonna be probably your most cost-effective dish right there, all right? So think about that. Or, hey, I wanna, actually, you know what, maybe this would be. Maybe your chimichurri is gonna be. Who knows? Depending upon what you have placed on hand. Use your pantry. Use what you already have in stock in your kitchen to create, okay? Analyze what you have in there before you go buying stuff, right? It's all about managing your inventory, your budget, just like in the restaurant, so too is it here, all right? So knock out an awesome, awesome sauce, right? You want that to be green, vibrant. All of these recipes highlight a green herb. So don't massacre it. Keep it fresh, all right? Don't over pulse, don't over mix. Basil bruises and oxidizes and turns black very rapidly. It is a very sensitive and fragile herb. Blake, I'll come to you in a minute. So when you're looking at our readings for this this week, that's not it. Here we go. Yeah, there we go. From Gislin, do a quick review. If you've forgotten your herbs and what they look like and what they can contain and how to handle them, do a quick review on this, okay? Know your herbs. Identification is key. And if you say, hey, Chef Greg, Chef Kat, can I grow chervil instead or chives? Yeah, go for it. You want to do one of these? Fine. That is okay. The idea is to grow the herb that you're utilizing in the menu. But if you want to go out there and have some fun, you found something that's unique, give it a go, okay? Just plant an herb, all right? Flexible, right? But highly suggest doing parsley. It'll be cheap and it grows quite easily, all right? Parsley grows very easily. Cilantro will get, the bunnies will get it. They'll get parsley too, though. Blake, what's up?
I want to ask you, I was watching a chef one day that did his parsley, because where he lived at, it was so hot and humid that he would go to the store, when he was doing stuff, he'd go to the store and buy parsley, and he would do like a rough chop to it, and then he put it in an airtight container and would stick it in his freezer to keep it longer. Is that something that you can utilize to do on your herbs? Because I know a lot where I'm at right now, it's 110 degrees out, and real muggy. And I go buy a thing of parsley to use, and, in a couple of days, it's already starting to wilt and look bad.
If you're talking about taking parsley that's already snipped from the grocery store and keeping it, or
that's what he was doing. He was buying a bunch of parsley from the store, and then he would just kind of like do a rough chop to it, and then an airtight container, and put it in the freezer.
It's not a bad idea, right? You're taking a fresh product, you're processing it, and you're freezing it. We're going to talk about preservation techniques later on in class, which would involve freezing, as we all know. Is it going to be the same as when you freshly chop parsley? No, of course not. Just as we know, fresh, freshly frozen, individually quick frozen, dried, all of them have different properties about it, right? So there's a certain, well, parsley is fairly tough, right? It's a lot tougher than cilantro if we're talking about it texturally. It has more integrity. It's stronger, right, than cilantro, okay? Now, so parsley, when you rough chop it, and it's freshly rough chopped, it still maintains a good amount of that freshness, that it has a touch of crisp, okay? So parsley is a little bit sturdier. It's gonna do it better in the freezer than, say, cilantro or a basil. They're just a little bit more delicate. But yeah, they're all totally, you can do that, and it is a good way if you're buying in bulk and you're trying to prep some stuff out. If you're looking at a cost-effective way to do something, and you have the storage capacities and you don't have the daily labor to do that, yeah, I would challenge yourself to do a comparison, see what that's like when you take it out, and then when you use it freshly chopped. See what it would take 2 little portions out, compare. Okay, that's how we can analyze. And whatever the desired goal is, maybe it doesn't matter if it's been previously chopped and previously frozen. Maybe it's still okay. If I'm making one of those herbs, the recipes, you want to be using fresh herbs, 100%. Why? Because you're changing the moisture. When you freeze something, water molecules change, okay, at the end of the day. So you created more surface area where moisture can be released. That's why you get crystals in a bag when you freeze something, right? Moisture. That will slightly degrade that end final product. But otherwise, I mean, I would say probably for majority of people, an imperceptible difference. Wouldn't you agree, Chef?
Yeah, agreed.
You know, and then it depends on how long you're storing that in the freezer, right? Is that, you know, for a week? Is that a month? How much are you using? If you're not using that much parsley, then, you know, it becomes that type of evaluation where what's your quantity that you can buy it in? Or can you start utilizing it in other recipes so that you can buy one lunch and make it last? Or is it even necessary? What small amount of parsley are you putting on that dish, right? These are things you would start to analyze. So let's hop back into this assignment. Does anybody have any questions regarding what's required? Yeah?
Oh, you have 2 hands up, Chef.
Yeah.
Blake and Alicia.
Yeah. Alicia?
Jess was asking, was it okay to use, as far as the protein and sides from other courses?
No. You mean like the technique you've used from another course?
Yeah, like the braised chicken or the sauteed chicken or something.
Yeah, you can. I mean, as long as you're doing new work, you can do whatever you want to do. But here's something I would throw out to you. Pick a dish that maybe you didn't execute as well as you would have liked to, that you have not worked on enough, right? So maybe your grilling game is strong, but your braise game is weak, right? Go for a braise. Challenge yourself. Don't do something that you're comfortable with. Keep pushing yourself to challenge, to improve, right? You're at a chance while you're in school where you can still get feedback. So sure, you want to be the best and you want to like make sure you get an A, of course. And so then you might say, oh, well, then I'm going to do this method because I know it. But I would say that's not how you become better. You become better by trying to work on a technique and a preparation that you're not that good at.
And think about what sauce that you are making, because this is about like the herbs this week. If you're making a sauce, one of the sauces that has lemon in it, then what is the protein that you're making? What is the starch? Because it's a great time to start pairing things. So when you go to an externship and they say, you know, can you make the dinner special for tonight? You have an idea. You know what's getting paired. You know what you need to use. You have all these ideas going. So pick your sauce and your proteins at the same time.
Yes, Chef. Thank you. Because you want to still make sure that your flavors are playing well together, right? Going on what Chef says, right? So if you are using a sauce, okay, how are you going to apply that? Is it going to be stirred into the final dish? Is it going to be on top? Is it going to be the base, right? Start thinking about how you're composing your plate. What vegetable or side starch is either going to go well with that chimichurri or not? Or pesto. So yes, you can cook whatever you want, but do something that challenges you is what I would say. Benjamin.
If I was to do a braised beef, would it count if I used the gremolata as a garnish?
Yeah, totally. A braised beef and a gremolata totally works. That gremolata kicks. So gremolata is going to be acidic, right? And it's going to counter that fattiness of a braised beef dish. I'm okay with that.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
So we're just making one of those
You make,
things.
you make one of the herb condiments. So you make your choice of zug, chimichurri, pesto, or gremolata, and then a protein of your choice, and then a side or starch, a starch or vegetable side.
And we can use the sauce that we're making as a garnishment, though.
Yes, that's exactly right. Your garnish will be the sauce.
I could do a pesto for garnishment on a pasta or a grilled steak or something.
Yes. I would say, again, keep thinking about challenging all of your senses, right? So if you make a braise and you're just going to show us braised meat and a braised vegetable that you braised in the same sauce, you're cheating yourself. Do that plus another side then. Cook another vegetable with another technique, right? So if you're doing a pesto, say you're using a classic preparation of pesto with your pasta, but guess what else? In Genova, okay, the region of Italy, it would traditionally come with potatoes and green beans, okay? Think about what's in that season right there. Young new potatoes, basil, and green beans, okay? That is a classic pasta genovese. So I would challenge you to say, hey, if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna do a pasta with pesto and some chicken, make sure you're cutting it, cooking that other starch in another preparation and showing that you're not just making, step it up, whatever you guys can do, step it up to the best of your ability, right? Don't be limited by these parameters of what you need to cook. Cook a meal, compose a meal.
You could make, you can make the pesto, you can split it like 3/4 and 1/4, and then when you make the dough, put some of the pesto in the dough. When you make the pasta, you'll have green pasta, pesto flavored pasta.
Have fun, guys. Experiment. You have some flexibility with what you actually get to make in this class, okay? And you will see that there are going to be some weeks where it is very specific of the recipe you need to cook. Other weeks you have some creative freedom. So use that to highlight your skills and challenge yourself and bring your best game to the table is all I'm going to say. Right? Amber.
I think I know what I'm gonna make with my my dish, my pesto, because I did it before, but I failed miserably the first time.
Okay.
So instead of, cause I did like oven roasted tomatoes one time and I burned them.
Okay.
So I'm gonna try to remake that and not fail miserably.
Yeah, if you've failed at something before, I think that's a great opportunity to try and now execute it. And then if you choose something like that, Amber, analyze yourself in your narrative, how you improved. What did you do differently? Okay, this is really the time to evaluate yourself and your skills, okay, as a cook, okay? How did you improve? What did you do differently? What did you learn? All right. Let me just pull this back up, the class page. I want to make sure that we've covered everything. Oh, important to note, as always, Chef Greg and I will be adding articles from time to time. So, keep a lookout on them for extra info. Again, 2 identical plates. We talked about that. And make sure you're hitting these key photos, production photos of of how it was prepared. You'll have your standard narrative reflection sheet, and this is the other link in the research about a general distribution. Check that out. And last but certainly not least, remember that if you by chance miss something, an assignment, you have the opportunity to make that up. And I would suggest making that up immediately, just like we talked about last block in Cuisines of the World. If you miss that, get that in the next week. Don't wait around till the end, okay? If you have some issues or financial issues or you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Like, the only way we can help you is if you let us know what you're going through, all right? If you're confused about something, let me know. Let Chef Greg know. If you have questions about how to compose a dish, reach out. Think about that texture. What type of texture are you trying to develop with your protein or on your vegetables that will complement that sauce? Think about texture. Think about flavor. Think about acidity, balance, okay? This class is, again, about cooking, but also about the bigger picture of farm to table. So, if you do miss an assignment, get it in ASAP, and know that makeup assignments all close in week 11. Don't wait till the end, because you'll be biting yourself and kicking yourself, right? So don't do that. Let's see, Chef Greg, was there anything else that?
No, just everybody please remember the self-IDs with the date, and then the photos of your plants. And then it got mentioned a couple times, but you are coming up on externship soon. So now's the time. Every time you do an assignment, put on your uniform like you're going to work. Change your sanitation bucket. At work, depending on what chemicals you use, you have to change the sanitation bucket every 4 hours. Some is 6. So just get in the process of it now. And then we are looking just for everything to be dated as far as the uniform goes. And other than that, just reach out if you have questions.
Yeah, thank you, Chef, for saying that. Just as we've had before, as you all have done in CU122, hold up that sheet of paper. It's super easy. You write week 1, the date, and that's in your self-ID photo, and that's in your Sandy photo. Boom, boom, right? Really simple, basic rules, all right? And yeah, other than that, let's enjoy, get ready to learn a lot about where our food comes from, and please do not hesitate to reach out if you have questions.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Cool. Game on, GMOs, natural, think about where your food's coming from, and start to get excited. All right, take care, and adios.
Thank you, everybody. Night.